So we've talked about how to find the lateral area and the surface area of a prism. So what if we take away the other base and we have a pyramid where everything comes together at the apex? And so what we have is you have your lateral area. Now, remember that for a prism, it was pH. Your lateral area was the perimeter of the base times the height. Well, for a pyramid, it's going to be very similar, except now we have to take into consideration these triangles. Okay, so we've got 4 of these triangles, and that's what our lateral area is. The lateral area is all of your triangles. Your surface area is your triangles plus your base, whatever your the shape of your base is. So your lateral area is going to be 1/2 PL. Okay, or you might want to say, you might like PL over 2, where P stands for the perimeter of the base. Okay, we don't have that on here, but perimeter of the base, just like we've been doing. B stands for the area of the base, just like we've been doing. L stands for the slant height, so the slant height is basically how tall is that triangle. And then H is the pyramid height, so if you can imagine dropping a straw straight down into that pyramid, how tall it would be. So it's basically how tall is the pyramid standing. And then your surface area is going to take your lateral area, your 1/2 PL, and you're going to add your base. Now, with your prisms, it was pH plus 2B. Okay, the 2 is because there were 2 bases when you had a prism, right? But now we had 2 bases, so we had to add 2 bases when you were talking about a prism. But for a pyramid, you only have your 1 base. So we have our 1 base right here. That's your base. So let's look at finding the lateral area and the total surface area of these shapes. So we have our pyramid height of 5. So our pyramid height that comes straight down through the middle right here, that is 5. And our slant height, which is this one right here, that's our slant height, that is 13. So notice this little triangle right here. So sometimes this might come in handy. You might need this little right triangle right there. In fact, we're going to need it because to find my lateral area, I want PL over 2. Well, I have my slant height. It's 13. What I don't have is my perimeter. I need the perimeter. Well, the perimeter comes from all of these sides added together. Well, I can't find those, but I can find this piece right here. And I can use Pythagorean theorem to find that. So I'm going to do, I'll just call it x, right? So I would do x squared plus 5 squared is equal to 13 squared. So if you take 169 and you subtract 25, you get that x squared is 144. Square root both sides. Now some of you may have recognized this as a 5, 12, 13, and you'd be exactly right. So x is equal to 12. So x is equal to 12. Now be careful. If that's 12, then all the way across matches this. So this would be 24, and this would be 24. So now we can get our perimeter. It'd be 24 times 4. So we had to take a step back, use Pythagorean theorem to find our side length of our base. So 24 times 4 is 96. So I like to go and write these all down. So the perimeter of the base would be 24 times 4, which is 96. And I know I need, so then my slant height is 13. And I know I'm going to need the area of the base to find the total surface area, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. So the base is a square, so it'd be 24 times 24, right? 24 times 24, which is 576. So my lateral area would be 96 times 13 divided by 2. You get 624 meters squared. Then your total surface area, you take your lateral area you just found, right? That's all your triangles, and you add the square that's on the base. So you add your 576. So 624 plus 576 is 1,200 meters squared. Okay, so sometimes you'll have everything you need, sometimes you won't, so you may have to take a break and go find it, right? All right, so we've got the area of our triangle. So we've got our base. Let's highlight that base so we can see it. This is a little bit hard. We got a bunch of stuff going on here. So typically pyramids do sit on their bases, or maybe they're upside down, kind of like an ice cream cone. But typically we do have pyramids. Not always, but typically they do sit on their bases. So lateral area, we need, that's PL over 2, or 1/2 the perimeter times the slant height. And then we want to add those bases for your total surface area. So let's look at the perimeter of our base. Perimeter of our base would be 10 plus 10 plus 10, so the perimeter would be 30. My slant height will be 6.7, and the area of the base, which I know I'm going to need ultimately, is the area of the triangle. Just look at the yellow triangle. That's it. Don't look at anything else. So cover up everything else. So the base of that triangle is 10. The height of that triangle is 8.7. And that's over 2 because the formula says to do that. So the area of the yellow triangle is 43.5. Notice when I'm talking about the triangle versus when I'm talking about the shape. So lateral area, you take your perimeter of your base, which was 30, times your slant height, which is 6.7, divided by 2 because the formula says so, and you get 100.5 inches squared. Area is always in inches. Then your total surface area, you're going to take your lateral area, 100.5, and you're going to add the one yellow triangle on the bottom, which is 43.5. You add 100.5 to 43.5, and you get 144 inches squared. Now, 3 may look scary, but don't worry about it. Look, I've already given you the base. I've already given you big B. So all you have to do is find perimeter. So we can find the perimeter. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides that are 6 yards apiece. So 6 times 6 is 36. So my perimeter is 36 yards. And my slant height is 11.3, right? The slant height is how tall the slant is. So look for that slanted line. So your lateral area is P, 36, times L, 11.3. And it's 1/2 of that. So you multiply those together and you get 203.4 yards squared. And then your total surface area, take that 203.4 and add the area of the base, which I gave you, 93.53. You didn't even have to go find it or anything. You could have, but you were given it, so you didn't have to. So you get 296.93 square yards. So that is for pyramids, PL over 2, the perimeter times the slant height over 2, and then you add the area of the base, whatever shape the base is. Now, for a cone is going to be very similar. It's the perimeter of the base. So really what happens is it's the perimeter of the base, so that'd be 2 pi r, and then times the slant height over 2. If we do like we did, if we do PL, right? If we do PL over 2, the perimeter of a circle is 2 pi r times the slant height divided by 2. Well, look what happens. 2 and 2 cancel out. So that is why the lateral area for a cone is pi RL. Now you don't need to remember where it came from. I just wanted you to show that it's very similar to pyramids. That's why we put them together. And then your total surface area is you take that lateral area. So think lateral area, that's your snow cone wrapper, right? That's the cone, the paper that you would hold your snow cone in. And then your total surface area, that would be like if you're going to put a lid on your snow cone to take it home. So that would be your lateral area, pi RL, plus pi r squared because your base is a circle. Remember with cylinders, we added 2 pi r squared because there were 2 circles. In a cone, there's only 1. Okay, so the lateral area for this cone. So I just start writing stuff down. Lateral area is pi RL. And then I go look at my picture and I'm like, okay, I got pi, Problem is I don't have R. But again, see that nice little right triangle? Now we've already done the math for this. We did it a minute ago. Notice the 13 is on the hypotenuse, the 12 is on the height. Well, when we did this a minute ago, let's call this R. I'll go ahead and show you. R squared plus 12 squared is equal to 13 squared. We used all of these numbers a minute ago. Again, this is where it's beneficial to know your triples. This is a 5, 12, 13. It'll save you some time. 169 minus 144 is 25. So square root both sides, you get that R is 5. So the radius is 5. Now I have everything I need. Pi times R times L, which is 13. So you get 65 pi, if I want to be lazy and not write out all the decimals, or 204.2 approximate meters squared, right? There are lots of decimals, but we're not going to write them all. We just need to the nearest tenth is fine. Your total area would be to take that previous lateral area, so to take your snow cone holder and put a lid on it. So we're going to add pi r squared. R was 5. So we add the 204.2, or the 65 pi, right? We add the 65 pi and the 25 pi, and we get 90 pi, or 204.2 plus pi times 25, and you get 282.7 meters squared. Okay, so it's all formulas. Just know these formulas, have them handy, have them visible. They're on your formula chart, they're in your notes, okay, on the word wall. Always just look for those formulas and write them down. Okay, so find the slant height of the cone. That means I want L. If it has a surface area of 822.78 and a diameter, we rarely use the diameter, of 18. Okay, so let's look at some things. I want surface area. It has a surface area, so let's write down surface area. So our surface area is pi r L plus pi r squared. Now I know it seems like it's a lot of work, but it really is helpful if you'll write everything down and then plug the numbers in that you have, okay? So surface area. So I know my surface area was 822.78 equals pi r. Okay, r comes from the diameter. The diameter was 18, which means the radius is 9. So times 9, I'm looking for the slant height, so I keep my L, plus pi, and then r, we found that was 9 squared. Now again, go in, do all the math that you can do. I can multiply pi times 9. I can multiply pi times 9 squared. Okay, so I have 822.78. 9 pi is 28.274. Keep the L. I didn't multiply the L. Plus pi r squared. This is what I'm doing. Typing it in. So I get 254.469. I don't like to round until I get to the end, and so I like to keep 3 or 4 decimal places while I'm doing my math. Okay, again, don't let the math throw you off. This is still just a regular old solving equation. So I'm going to subtract 254. Remember, my goal is to get the L by itself. So I got to move everybody else out of the way before I can do that. So 822.78 minus 254.469. That's 568.311, and you can shortcut this however much you're comfortable. You can shortcut this. You don't have to show all these steps. And then we want to divide by 28.274. I just like to show you in your notes so you have them. Divide by 274, and you get that the slant height is 20.1, and that would be centimeters. Slant height is in centimeters. So it is all formula based. Excuse me. So it's all formula based. Write down the formulas and then start using what you have and start plugging in the numbers. If you're missing a piece, go find it. Go back to the things that we know. Pythagorean theorem is the main thing that you're going to use. and then start plugging things in and then solving for it and then simplifying it to get your final answer. Our formulas are very similar for pyramids and for cones. They're both half of the distance of the base times the slant height, and but we actually have the formula for cones. We can actually use the pi r, where we use the perimeter of the base because the base changes for a pyramid, but the base doesn't change for a cylinder. And then we can use pi r squared for our total surface area, where we use b because, again, our bases change when we have a prism or when we have a pyramid.